So it's time to put all this stuff together. So you've cut all of your stuff out. You have your backgrounds. You've got your letters. If you have a letter that has like a hole in it, like the O, then you could choose to cut this out. It's kind of up to you if you want to cut them out. Then you would fold them. Not fold to squish, but just fold it over enough so you can cut a little slit and cut the center out. You don't want to leave the white on there that just looks sloppy. You want to make sure that you cut all the way around the edge. So if you leave white like I just did, go back, trim it up. We want our great craftsmanship, not okay craftsmanship. So once that is done, then you're going to need to get a piece of poster paper. So basically we're using recycled paper, okay? This has a very old drawing of Atlanta. It doesn't look like that anymore because they built all kinds of stuff. So we are using this. This is the back part of it. This is where your name and class code is going to go. You might need a big one or you might need a small one. Just depends. I'm going to use a smaller piece so that it makes all the things that I drew look a little bit bigger. If I used a large piece, then this won't look as interesting because it looks much smaller. So I'm going to choose a smaller piece instead of a larger piece. So what you have to do first, which is write your name and class code on the back. Very, very important. Then you flip it over and you're going to have a white piece of paper. This paper you're going to use to cut strips out of. You don't want to make them really, really long. You want to keep them kind of short. And you are going to take these and you're going to zigzag them. So you're going to fold it this way, then that way, then that way. It doesn't matter if all of these little edges are even or not, just as long as they are zigzagged back and forth, because these are the things that are going to help us to have our paper look like it is popping off. So you got to go through and you got to make a bunch of those. So I'm going to work on that. All right, so I've got a bunch of my zigzags done and I'm ready to start putting things together. You can either use a glue stick or you can use a bottle of glue. I think the bottle of glue works a little bit better. It seems to be stronger because you can put just a tiny bit more on it. That's the one I'm going to use. But if you really like glue sticks, feel free to use that. So what you want to do, and this is where it can get kind of sticky and kind of frustrating, is you want to put the glue on the back of the zigzags and you're going to glue them on the back. You don't want a bunch of them on there. Notice that I held that for a few seconds and I'm going to spread them out. You want to spread them out and think of it like a triangle shape. Okay, that's really important for it to be triangle. You need 3 points of contact. A triangle is actually the strongest shape in the world because it has 3 points. It allows the weight to be spread evenly. So that's why we are using that. After you get those glued on, and notice I didn't hold them for a long time, you're going to put glue on all 3 of those. And again, this is where it can kind of get messy. I know that I'm going to turn it this way and I'm going to set these down and I've got to work to get all 3 of them on the paper and then I'm going to hold that. Takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it in the end. So now that I've got that done, I can hold it up and I can see how far off of the paper it's going to be coming off. You got to be careful because they're not completely glued on, so you really have to let it sit and hold on there. Now that I've got the back part stuck on, now I'm ready to start working on actual placement of the letters. So on mine, I want the letters to kind of look like they're going in and out. So now that I've figured out how I want it, I can do a couple different things. I could choose to make some of these pop off, or I can attach it directly onto this background, and then the background is going to pop off of this one. So again, there's a lot of different options of figuring out how you're going to do it. So I'm going to work on mine, getting this attached together before I show you how to put that together. I've gotten my zoom attached to my first background, so now I'm ready to get this attached to that. So I'm going to flip it. I am going to, again, think in that triangle shape, and I'm going to start to glue these 3 on. Now, I've got to spread these out so the weight will be evenly distributed between my 3 corners. That's really important. Sometimes you have to add extras, all right? Not always, but sometimes you have to. So now that those 3 are on, I'm not putting huge globs of glue. I'm just putting enough so it will stay on. Again, it's not dripping everywhere. Now, I've got to attach this onto the background. I've got to on there, and I've got to hold it for a little while. So I've gotten that one glued on, and it's popping off there. So it is 3-dimensional, each one. Now I can add more interest by adding other shapes coming out from it. So again, I want to stay with my theme to make it look like it is zooming. So I know I'm going to create some kind of curves. Going off. And yes, I'm going to do it with 2 colors. I am going to be very creative, and I'm going to kind of make these look like they're curling, as if it is spinning around. So I'm going to curve this. I'll just use my pencil. And I like how the spirals look. So then I would just work this and add them where I think more interest needs to be. So it's got a real 3-dimensional look with it. So I'm going to work on these now. As you are gluing things down, make sure that you think through the process, where you're going to place them. So make a plan. All right, it might be as you're going, you're making your plan. So I test it out, I look at it, then I put a small amount of glue. You don't want to put a lot of glue because then that can make a really sticky situation. So as I'm going through there, small works the best. Make sure that you're gluing it down so that it doesn't stick out or look like you just stuck it on the back of the paper. You want it to actually look like it's coming from the center. So you can change the background on them if you would like. I